Welcome to This American Principal, a weekly podcast dedicated to telling the real stories of school leadership. Today, Dr. Chelsea Maloof, Director of Language Arts and Alternative Language Services in Salt Lake City and former principal, gets candid about burnout and the boundaries that bring us back. We dig into practical habits like turning off email notifications, using official channels, and scheduling life after work. Also, the relationships that make asking for help possible. There's joy too, porch pizza wins and a kindergartner's breakthrough. If you're stretched thin, this one's for you. Dr. Chelsea Maloof.
Look at that. I just finished a state secondary ELA meeting. I was like, I can go home and eat a salad, not stress about it. So that's what I did.
Good for you. What's your position?
I am currently the Director of Language Arts and Alternative Language Services for the Salt Lake City School District. The language arts side of my job encompasses kindergarten through grade 12, all things language arts, honors, AP, anything in that realm. And then the alternative language services encompasses English language development instruction, our dual immersion programs, world language programs, refugee services, all the things that fall under Title III.
Before you went into this position, you were a principal, right?
I started teaching elementary school. Then I moved into a professional development position in literacy. Then I moved into school administration. So I was an assistant principal at 2 schools and a principal at 2 schools.
How long were you a principal?
Let's see. The first school was 4.5 years. I was a mid-year hire. The second school was 5 years. I started there as the assistant principal and then moved into the principal position. 5 years at that school total.
And you've been out of the principal role now for how long?
4 full years. This school year just started my 5th year in this position. There seems to be a theme with that 5-year mark.
What do you miss and not miss about the principal role?
I definitely miss being at a school and being part of that smaller community, knowing kids' names, getting hugs as I walk down the hall, being tightly involved in teachers' lives and family lives. I miss that small community.
What do you not miss?
My job now is still stressful. In fact, it's more stressful than I wanted it to be, but it's more predictable stress. At a school, I could go into a day thinking that I was going to have these pockets of time to go do classroom observations or get caught up or make those phone calls. And then on the way into school, parents would get into a custody fight or a child would get hit in the parking lot. Those things that are not on your radar and you hope will never happen, and they happen and obviously take over, if not the whole day or sometimes multiple days, a big chunk of the day. It's not as often that my day will get taken from me. I feel like I have more control over my day.
How else do you think you'd describe the role of school principal for the American public?
That's a really good question. It is like being a CEO, CIO, CFO, and also buildings and grounds crew. It's doing everything. Although there may be other people to do those things, ultimately you're responsible for everything. It's like these little cities that you have to know all of the things.
It's a small village, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
It's a microcosm of society.
Yeah. And schools are one of the cogs that keep society functioning. We have our emergency services, we have health services, we have food services, and we have schools. If the school cog isn't moving, like we saw during the pandemic, then that means that parents who have kids in schools who are part of those other cogs that keep society moving can't go. So while we have this important call to action to educate our future leaders, we also play this really important role in the workings of society on a bigger level. And that's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of responsibility. And we have, family's most precious commodity all day long. They're trusting us with that as well. So the pressure's high.
7 years in the principal role. What do you remember about that experience?
I was fortunate to be a principal in 2 places and to learn from that. My first principalship was very eye-opening because I thought my assistant principalship really prepared me well, and then I went in to a school where I was the only administrator, there wasn't an assistant principal. I was unprepared for the pressure of being the absolute and final say. I mean, from teachers making decisions, parents making decisions, but also if someone at the district office had a question, it comes to the principal. That phone call comes to the principal. The emails come to the principal. Community partners that want to do something with the school, it all comes to the principal. I did not balance my life well in the beginning, and it really took a toll on me. I was able to do that better in my second one. At that point, I was wrapping up um, my doctoral program. And I felt like even with that, or especially with that, I was able to balance that so much better because I had reflected on the toll that the job was taking and made some conscious decisions on how to fix that for myself.
How did you know you were out of balance?
I mean, physically, I felt it in every part of my body. I wasn't sleeping well. I felt like I had a chronic stomach ache. I I didn't even look like myself. I remember being at my sister's house. She lives in a different state, and I took a picture with my nephews, and I looked at it later, and it looked almost like a caricature of the person that I was. I felt like my face was just inflamed and bloated, but like my smile was strained. I was with these 2 little humans that I love. I think seeing that picture was a wake up call for me because I knew my family was talking to me. What can you do to cut some stress? My doctor was talking to me about it. My friends, I could tell that they didn't think that I was as fun. My romantic relationship was suffering and came to an end at the kind of at that same time as my decision to leave that school ended. So it was everything, but it was a slow burn getting to that point. It
Hmm.
it didn't just happen all at once. There were little things that I conceded on in my life. I started giving up exercise to work longer. I was doing emails and taking calls at all hours. I was going into the school on the weekends. I was picking up takeout on my way home from work because I was too tired to go to the grocery store. Like all of those things were really contributing. It was interesting because I felt like I was putting in all this extra time. I wanted my staff to know I was putting in extra time because to me, I felt that would show them that I cared about them. And what I think it was it kind of like I looked like a martyr to them. I think people appreciate the work you put in until there's something that they need that they feel like they aren't getting. And because I was so like stressed and focused on my to-do list, I wasn't looking up and paying attention to where other people needed help. I had a teacher who I was close with and I valued her opinion greatly. I remember her coming up to me after a faculty meeting and she asked me what help I needed. And I've got this. Like I've got youngest child syndrome. I feel like a burden. So I always just think that I have it. And she said to me, Chelsea, if you don't ask for help, it sends us the message that we can't ask you for help. I had never looked at it that way. I thought that I was taking things off their list, but I was burdening myself with it. I didn't realize that by not modeling, I was sending a message that I didn't value it. I don't know that I would have been able to hear that from everyone, but I think because I so respected the work that she did, I respected the way she showed up as a human in her relationships with other teachers and with families and kids. And that she came to me, like, one-on-one and with sincerity.
Don't you think principals need some of those relationships with teachers? How do you navigate that?
One of the important things is choose wisely. If it is a teacher that you think is going to need a lot of correction, that's probably not the space to go because sometimes that correction can be misinterpreted or can be used differently. But then I think it's just like other relationships in life. Who do you feel connected to? Like, whose energy are you drawn to? Who resonates with you? Who is someone that has characteristics that you would like to be more like? Like, those are the things that I look for in people. And then it's also a balance of what parts of life to share. I I think in that first scenario, I thought, well, people don't need to know anything about my life, but then they weren't actually getting to know me as a human. I think I really thought, oh, I have to keep my personal life separate. But, there are some really hard things that happen in life. While I certainly don't think my staff, like, needed to know the details of those hard things, knowing, I think, gave some more, like, understanding and grace, but also that reminder that administrators are human. A lot of times we think that we have to be superheroes and we feel like it. And then also there's just sometimes I don't know, a treatment by some people in the public or some people on our staff of, well, that's why they get paid the big bucks. And I hate that saying because we get paid more because we work more days and generally because our job comes with more necessary education and degrees and training. So that saying of, well, you should deal with it because you get paid more. It's like, well, actually I'm a human and I mean, my ex-fiance passed away while I was at a school. That was a hard thing, and while I didn't really want anyone to necessarily do anything for me or feel like they needed to, just giving a little bit of grace that, like, maybe my patience was going to be a little bit shorter or my emotions were going to be a little closer to the surface and having understanding around that instead of, "Why is she in such a bad mood?"
Mhm,
And I
mhm.
don't think I realized that at the time. I just thought, "Oh, I need to put on this professional face and just figure out how to deal with it." But no one wants that for someone that they work with, right? Like, we all want people to be able to take a breath, be a soft spot. Ultimately, we do want people to get their job done too. But to be able to be that safe landing spot for a person if they need a few minutes. I wasn't giving anyone that opportunity to be a safe landing spot or to get to know me and what kind of made me click if I was only letting them see the professional side of my life.
How did you turn it around?
I think one of the biggest things is I realized I needed to take a step back from that school. I needed to do something that was more about me. Looking back, I probably could have made changes there because I don't think it was about the school as much as it was about me. But I think that shift in position was really a time to reset. The first thing I did was by telling my supervisor that, like, by choosing me. I had spent my last year at that school, the winter holiday, taking baths, reading books, and just really being kind to myself. Whereas in previous years, I had spent a lot of that break working and getting things ready. And, the truth is, there's never going to be enough time, no matter how much time you spend. Then I came back from the break and had that conversation. That was the biggest shift to start the momentum moving. I started looking at, okay, now that I've said this out loud, what's that next thing going to be? It turned out to be a doctoral program. When I decided that, I asked to go back to being an assistant principal. In the meantime, I had looked at going and working overseas and international schools and different things. Um, while stepping back into an assistant principal role, there definitely were some ego things there of what are people going to think about this? What stories are they going to tell about why that is happening? That went away the first day of school. The first day at my next school was also my first day of classes in my doctoral program. As happens, things got crazy right at the end of the school day, and I was able to leave. My principal said, "You have class starting. You need to go. I've got this." While it felt crazy driving away from school, knowing that chaos was happening, I was so grateful. And during my break of that first day of class, I was up on the University of Utah campus and I was standing and looking out at a window, and it was just Like the sun was setting and it was so pretty, and I just felt like this physical relief. My shoulders felt lighter, and I knew I was in the right place. From that point forward, it was such a reminder of me to choose myself. And choosing myself looked like taking notifications off my phone. That is the biggest thing I talk to administrators about now that I mentor. Take your emails off your phone. You can still check them, but you don't need to hear the ding. Even when I'm working, I have the notification sound turned off because I notice like that little hit of anxiety every time an email came in. Those small choices of choosing myself have built up to a person who chooses boundaries, and I think who models boundaries for my staff. I don't expect anything from them that I'm not willing to do myself. So I think that boundary part is critical.
Could you talk more about that? What was your newfound vision for maintaining a sense of health and well-being while in that position?
I think the biggest thing that I do is I say it and I do it. I always start the year with my staff. I talk to them about work hard and play hard. Come to work, put your all into it, and then leave. Don't spend your day thinking about what you need to take home with you at night. For the most part, and granted, there are times where we have to work at night. Tonight is actually one of those for me. But create your day at work so you don't have to take things home, so that home can be the sanctuary. I'm really intentional about scheduling things after work so I don't stay at work. I schedule dinners with friends and family. I buy tickets to hear speakers and to go to concerts. I go on trips. That was something I used to never really do because I was so worried about taking the time off. Is it stressful before I go and crazy when I come back? Absolutely it is, but it is worth every minute of being away. I talk about that with my staff. Like, please don't ever apologize to me about wanting to go see your child's performance at another school. Please don't ever apologize to me that someone in your life is sick or injured or that you feel sick. Please don't ever apologize that you want to take this vacation because the reason I don't want you apologizing is I don't want there to be any guilt around it. We have to live our lives. And if we are working hard, then we should be able to have that balance. We should be able to take time off for the things we want to do or to be present for the people who are important when they need us. And so when someone tells me that they are taking time off, I just say, I hope it's a great day for you. Like, I hope you enjoy it. I don't even know what they're doing. They might have doctor appointments or they might be getting furniture delivered. I don't know. Whatever it is, I just hope that that time away is great.
If somebody is feeling like they're not in a great place and they are out of balance, where would you recommend they start?
I think if people have people in their lives whose opinion they value and doesn't really have anything to gain from it, those are great people because they care about us. For me, one of those people was my sister. We live in different states. So it's not like she wants me to free up my schedule to help her with her kids or anything like that. She truly has nothing to gain from me being in a better spot aside from just her heart being happier because I am. Look to the people who are close to you because they are the ones who can step back and give you that feedback and really listen. If people you care about are concerned with how you're doing, there's probably something to hear from that. Really think about when have you felt the best in your life? When have you felt the best about your job? When have you felt the best about your relationship, about physically, and really looking at what those times were and what they have in common? Something that I say to my people a lot is just if we believed it could happen, what would we be willing to try? If you absolutely know that this puzzle in front of you has a solution, you will keep trying. But if someone says, oh, here's a puzzle, it might be solvable, it might not, we quit a lot faster. So keep that thought of what am I willing to try? What am I willing to consider?
What was the best you ever felt then this principle in terms of balance? What were some indicators that things had shifted significantly for you?
I think the biggest indicator was the relationships I had walking down the halls. Went from I mean, I'm a fast walker anyway, but I went from having tunnel vision as I was walking my fastest from point A to point B to the next meeting or to the next crisis or to go deliver this message to a place of walking down the hallways, actually seeing people, saying hello, stopping for a child to give me a hug, stopping for a teacher to say, I wanted to tell you this, because to me, that meant that they felt that they could. I felt like when I was in that point of too busy, people were like, oh, boy, better get out of her way,
Yeah.
something big is happening. To the flip of with the other one where there was more time, on those days where I was tunnel vision going to like the next crisis, people knew that it was something really important that I was still going to be available later.
Right. And it wasn't just like that every day.
Yes. Which I kind of felt like there were a few years where I just went from chaotic point to chaotic point, whether it was my doing or someone else's. I remember at one point reading a study that said elementary principals had the highest professional quality of life, and I just did not believe one bit of it. And I was like, this study must have been done a long time ago because this job is incredibly stressful. I can't remember the year it was done, and it was from some years before. I think I was missing out on the enjoyment of all the fun things that do happen in a school and all of the fun things that help us grow in a school. At my last school, we would start the year with like a carnival, and families were there and kids were there, and everyone was so excited to start the year. We ended the year with big things like a field day and a fun run. Once again, families coming together, kids having fun, teachers having a little pressure off their backs. There are all those big things that are fun, but I mean, some of the things that when I look back, or especially if I run into a parent someplace, I'll remember something that happened, like maybe with their child in a parent conference I was brought in on, which, usually meant that not everything was going smoothly. Some of the funny things that came out of those conversations as we were talking as a team with the child and about what was going on. Other things during the pandemic, my assistant principal contacted a local pizzeria and we got gift cards for pizzas. We asked because it was a neighborhood that wasn't incredibly mobile all the time and parents working multiple jobs if we could be the ones to come and pick up pizzas. So we had different criteria of students that would win the pizza of the week and on Mondays we would go to the home because kids were still at home at this time, but we continued it when they came back in person and we would go and deliver a pizza and a certificate. We would take a picture on their porch or at their front door. And it was so lovely to connect with families in that way and to have kids like want us to be at their house. For the most part, we couldn't go in because it was the pandemic and we didn't know, about contagion and everything. So everyone was being cautious. But just having those moments, it took us like 20 minutes, from drive time to the house to talk, to give a little rah, rah, rah to the child and whoever else was there. And then to drive to the next house, which was, close, and do the same thing and get back to the school. At the most, it was 30 minutes. It was this little thing that had such an impact on them and on me.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
loved that. I
Yeah.
loved the kids who were having challenges and spent some time with me on a regular basis. I loved developing a relationship with them and trying to figure out what was their little solution to that puzzle. Like, how could I unlock that? How could I build a relationship that would get them to want to be in class, to be successful, to be kind, to be making friends. I loved those times.
You found that energizing because some APs or principals can find the challenging student behavior is very draining.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I didn't love the one-time things, like the fight on the playground. I mean, sometimes that was fine, but for me, it was kind of those things of like, "Oh my gosh, you know better, like, what's going on?" That kind of became exhausting, but the kids that had a regularly I'm thinking about a kindergartner. For the 30 minutes that his classroom assistant went to lunch, he would come with me every day until we got him to a point where he could be in a classroom where he didn't need that much one-on-one attention. So for that 30 minutes, whether we were building things with magnetic shape or I would play songs, he was an English learner, so I would play songs on my computer, pull up some little fun things on YouTube, and would do some English learning. Or if I had things in the building I needed to do, he just came with me. He was my little
Mm.
shadow and would do things like I'd have us count our steps, would go 1, 2, 3, hop, 1, 2, 3. And then when I felt like he had that, we built up to five. Just kind of those little things of like, having a relationship with that student. I liked that, and I loved seeing that, like, release back of not needing me, because we always want to be needed, but it's such a good feeling to get to a point where you know you've helped someone not need you.
Mhm.
I love that.
Mhm. Yeah.
I actually saw that boy in this position. He, had transferred to another school, and I was in a classroom doing an observation. I saw him, and I was pretty sure it was him, and I started counting, "Oh, would he be in 4th grade by now?" When there was a moment and the teacher was walking by, I said, "Is that?" And she was like, "Yeah, how do you know him?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh." So, went over, and a few years had passed, but he remembered me, and it was I loved it. I loved because I left after that year, so I didn't see him, but
Did you do the 1, 2, 3 hop?
no, I think he had, probably worked out of that, but he was doing some math.
That's awesome. Well, is there anything else you wanted to share with those admin that might be struggling with maintaining a sense of balance in their life?
I think I had to really get over the feeling that it was selfish because there's that saying of, you can only fill others' cup from a full vessel and something to that something along those
Mhm.
lines.
Uh-huh.
It is so true. When I am able to free myself up and have better balance, I know I make better decisions because I don't get bogged down in the what if, what if, what ifs. I just feel like I am more clear in my decision making and I'm able to make more strategic choices. And even less, like, impulsive. I feel like I'm able to be more present with people. Like, I remember things that my staff tells me about their kids or about their partners or about an activity they like to do, and I'm able to follow up on that because I'm not so my brain is just more clear. I think it's really trusting that taking care of yourself will actually benefit your job and benefit the people around you that you care about. We go to work every day because we care about our work, we care about the people, and it's not selfish. Taking care of ourselves really is a way that we can take care of other people and encourage them to do the same. So, I would encourage people to trust that and not feel guilty about it because it will pay off for others too.
Any resources that you would suggest to people? Is there anything else that helps you be present at work that you wanted to share?
When I talked about that winter break thing and reading a lot of books, a lot of them were on Buddhism. While I don't consider myself a Buddhist, it really resonated with me at the time.
Spiritual wellness was a part of your story.
Yeah, yes, and spiritual wellness was a part of my story and my journey in the sense of feeling like I was tied to a higher purpose and a higher goal for myself. I think it also helped me feel things were possible because I was so focused centrally on myself. It gave me a larger view of other people have gone through challenges, other people have figured this out. And I think the lucky of us aren't the ones that avoid any challenges. I think the lucky ones of us are the ones who learn from them and are able to get to a better place with it. We're all going to have challenges, now, unfortunately, in every part of our lives, in our careers, in our personal lives, in our own health. But those of us that are able to find our own resources, whether it's are important people or an exercise. Some people love to run. I do not. I could pedal a bike for hours and hours, and other people, that doesn't sound fun to them. I've tried to pick up knitting because I know people love that and it's really calming. Some of us really love to read. Some of us love music. Like, whatever those things are that help, we're really lucky if we find those things and if we allow them to be part of our solution. Because I see plenty of people, I've had enough time in my career to see plenty of people work and retire or leave the profession early. I feel like the ones who leave, they spend their whole career and they retire in a state of continued chaos and stress. They never figured out how to enjoy the job while still working hard and being effective. I don't think that it needs to just be this job. I feel like in education, we are gaslit into thinking working in a school is the only thing that we can do. And there are so many opportunities for educators to take this to another place and to take our skills of time management and flexibility and mediation and getting along with people and being creative in the moment and problem solving into other facets of life. So whether it's at the end of a 30-year journey or 10 years in and saying, wow, this has been a really great ride. And now the person I am today is going to go take this and channel it into this other area. If we don't figure it out, I just think that's where burnout comes in. That is where life satisfaction drops, even outside of work. We only have this one incredible life. We owe it to ourselves to do whatever we can to make it the best for us.
Thanks for listening to This American Principle. If today's story resonated with you, share this podcast with a colleague, a friend, or anyone who needs a reminder of just how hard and how vital school leadership really is. And if you've got a story of your own, head over to www.leadingforlearning.com to share your experience. This isn't just a podcast, it's a community. Together, we are lifting up the voices of the people who make schools work. Until next time, keep leading with courage, clarity, and heart.